Stalker is one of the most revered films ever made, and perhaps the most well-known directed by the mighty Andrei Tarkovsky. Where do we find much outright faults in this particular creative endeavour? Is it too heavy on dialogue, becoming too much of an illustrated text? Could we argue that its screenplay is not truly that historically impressive and is elevated by its aesthetic compositional genius? The question of more importance, I think, is not why is Stalker one of the greatest films of all time, and rather, in what respect is Stalker not one of the greatest films of all time? Narratively, Stalker is a thing of profound imaginative genius and impressive wisdom, gloriously Russian existential contemplation sourced from the Strugatsky brothers, who also inspired Sokorov's masterly Days of Eclipse and both tremendous adaptations of How to Be a God. Penning its screenplay themselves, based off of their 1972 novel Roadside Picnic, was a good thing because as far as pure dialogue and contemplation goes, yeah, maybe this is the greatest screenplay ever written. It's at least worthy of comparison with Apocalypse Now, released the same year. And now, visually, cinematically, the meticulousness of Stalker's staged choreography, its precise camera work and painstaking attention to timed framing, is the cause of much bittersweet jealousy. This is far and away the most famous film with a cinematographer credit from one Alexander Knanazinski, and while I am unfamiliar with the rest of his body of work, I am sure that with Stalker alone he felt as though he had contributed sufficiently to the history of outstanding motion picture photography. If you have not seen Stalker, and I'm unsure what percentage of any of my potential viewers would have, I do implore you do so. Some of my viewers, assuming I have any consistent watchers, are probably from more of an art film sphere of interest and have definitely seen Stalker. Others more found their way here via an interest in pulpy 20th century genre titles, and those of you may have yet to sit down with Stalker, or at least I assume so if I'm to be presumptuous. Just watch Stalker, start to finish, don't expect anything spectacular, forget you're watching what's considered this holy grail of snobby art cinema, and see what you think of it. Enjoying Stalker, or not, is a brilliant way of figuring out whether one will enjoy a film similar or derived from it. Now, that being said, Tarkovsky had said about this film, if I remember correctly, that he was only attempting to impress two individuals. One is named Bresson, and one is named Bergman. He definitely impressed Bergman, who considered Tarkovsky perhaps the greatest of all filmmakers, although I am unsure about Bresson, who is known to ignore other films for the most part. They were both at the 1983 Cannes Film Festival and appeared on stage together with Orson Welles. I'll link a video in the description, although I am not certain, despite at least one unsourced claim on some stereotypically vapid Tumblr page, whether they interacted any further. Within Stalker itself, so much of its narrative power is due to its particular treatment of the zone. The zone might be close to my single favourite creation in the history of fiction. It is one of the narrative devices I am most envious of, I'll put it like that. Nothing gives me sincere chills like when watching Stalker. Something about the zone, and when the zone is discussed, what it appears to do to a human soul, it affects me on a very deep and primordial level. The zone exists outside of our understood reality. It appears to be sentient, or at least that is how our minds try to make sense of it. As near as I can describe it, the zone is the nexus point where a scientific model of reality collides with a sentient being's purposed ontology. That is to say, that bridge where the extent of our own knowledgeable capacity meets the elusive shore of rigid mathematical certainty. What I'm saying is that the, if any, observable physical laws of the zone seem to correspond with the pathological state of that who is experiencing it. But deep in the zone, within the ominously titled room, an individual can be granted their deepest desire. It is said, heavily suggested, that once being granted their deepest desire, individuals no longer feel motivated to exist, betrayed by the notion that one's motivation in life was for an expectation and not for adulation of the present moment. Living for a reward and not because living is inherently worthwhile. It isn't that the cosmological blueprint has no meaning or purpose, although given its irrelevance on fulfilling an existential malaise, it may as well have none. And given that the scientific analysis, the preset parameters of universal energy flow are emotionally irrelevant and or may as well have no valuable purpose, it can also be said that these actual intellectual discoveries, the academic educational endeavours, were motivated by an urge to understand, to scratch an itch, to feel sated, and were undertaken by individuals who wholly sought a reward, knowing. And so are the laws of our universe and the patterns of our pathologies inherently one and the same? If they aren't, they may as well be. When rewards lie in front of us, when we see much to look forward to, the universe seems worthwhile, life is worth living, but when boredom strikes, we wonder what the point of it all was anyway. Wasn't the Big Bang a grand accident of chance in the damned first place? What is the zone? The zone is the motivator of existence. We wake up seeking a reward, heralded by an incentive. Are things not good enough now? No, but they will be better, utterly spectacular, when I acquire said blank. It could be anything, major or trivial, whatever, and that, or rather specifically, that emotional state, or the hope of what that emotional state will feel like, is what is most motivating me right now. Now, what if we didn't have that motivator? Oh, I wake up, I feel fine, I have everything I need, I'm in the desired zone, I guess. Oh well, what now? This existence is tricky, and quite cruel. We're always searching for that zone, mentally, and even if it is physical, even if it is a material location we seek, the Bahamas, a mansion, a high-class party, it is for how it will make us feel, and not because of anything else. That zone is internal. The value of any physical zone is its creation of an internal zone within the subject then experiencing it. The zone makes us afraid of what we truly want, as opposed to what we want to want.